Hello, the Pioneer viewers. I'm back again today with a new report. I'm going to share with you our latest reports on the Russia-Ukraine war. According to the latest reports, the Ukrainian army's operations are continuing. Offensive is one area and defense in another. However, Ukrainian soldiers continue their struggle for free and independence Ukraine quite intensely. This intense struggle is wearing down the Russian army day by day. The Russian army, on the other hand, is endeavoring to advance further in the Ukrainian field. There is a war that is about to leave behind nearly 2 years. When you look at it, the gains of the Russian army is in this war almost zero because the regions already occupied by the Russian army were autonomous regions that were illegally tried to be separated from Ukraine. There are no definite gains of the Russian army within the main borders of the Ukraine. Despite this, the Russian army continues to perish. So what is the latest situation on the front line? Let's analyze the developments together. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so as not to miss the daily map reports and agenda reports prepared by the Pioneer team. You can also support me and my team by using the super thanks button under the videos. This will make me very pleased. Let's start if you're ready, the Pioneer reports. We start with the Kherson front line. Let's see the Kherson front line on the map first. As you know, there has been an increasing pressure from the Ukrainian army here in recent days. We have received a lot of information about this pressure from the sources. Even Russian sources confirms this pressure of the Ukrainian army. We will analyze this issue in our report and the agenda. Let us consider the targets of the attacks and the latest situation. According to the latest reports, the Ukrainian army launched a very serious attack with artillery support. The target of this attack was the Poima region. Although the Russian army has suffered heavy losses as a result of intense attacks in the Poima region, there is no border change yet. We can say that intensity of the attacks of the Ukrainian army has increased. Don't be misled by the lack of border change in the region. This is a very normal process. We have discussed this issue quite a number of times in reports we shared earlier in summer. The Russian army has a really big build-up here. The main purpose of this build-up was to prevent Ukrainian forces from crossing the east bank of the Dnieper River. This build-up has failed to realize the main objective. Nevertheless, Russian troops in the region continue to exist thanks to this build-up. Therefore, any damage inflicted by the Ukrainian army on this build-up should be taken very seriously. We can also say that with each passing day, the Ukrainian army's damage to the Russian defense build-up is increasing. We see a similar situation in the Kremlin region. However, there is no change in the borderline. Ukrainian forces continue their offensive and Russian forces maintain their defense positions. Let's continue by mentioning the artillery activities in the region. According to the latest reports, Russian artillery units hit Ukrainian positions in Taiginka, Lviv, Tamarin, Kazakskoye, Berlipska, and Zemeyevka. In turn, Ukrainian artillery targeted Russian positions in Alyoshki, Livlisage, and Peschankovka. We continue with the Robotny sector of the Zaporizhia front line. Today, Ukrainian artillery continued its offensive. The Ukrainian artillery attacks were mainly concentrated in the direction of Verbov, Kopany, and Novoprokopivka. According to local sources, these attacks were quite violent. In fact, we can say that these attacks of Ukrainian artillery units were softening attacks. However, Russian defense fortifications are quite strong in this area. Therefore, the attacks of Ukrainian artillery units have not yet softened the positions sufficiently. However, it continues. Of course, the Ukrainian army needs more support to continue. In order to provide this support, many countries, especially the United States and the European Union, needs to realize that the situation is serious. Artillery units have once again proved to the world how critical they are in this war. Artillery has played a critical role in a significant part of Ukraine's gains. This critical importance must be presented, otherwise Europe may face a very big problem. Back to our main topic. The Ukrainian army mobilized after these artillery attacks and tried to advance. However, as we mentioned, no matter how fierce the Ukrainian artillery attacks were, no progress could be made because the Russian positions had not yet softened sufficiently. Russian artillery used long-range artillery to target Ukrainian troops in Kamenskoye, Malaya, Sherbiaka, and Orkhovo, and Novodanilovka, Novovasilovka, and Charnov, Gulayankla, and Poltavka. quite a large area. We think that a generalized artillery offensive of the Russian army may begin in the coming days. Of course, this is just a guess at the moment. Time will show us the accuracy of this prediction. I would like to continue our report by analyzing the latest developments in the Wuhldar section of the Zaporizhia front line. In our previous reports, we mentioned that there was a silence in the region and that there was a high probability that this silence would be broken. We clearly did not expect that this situation and this prediction would come true in such a short period of time. According to the latest reports, activity has started in the Wuhldar section of the Zaporizhia front line. According to information from local sources, the Russian armed forces launched a counterattack from the direction of Priyodny and north of the town. It was a large-scale attack. However, despite this, the Ukrainian defense also gave a very successful test. These attacks of the Russian forces were repelled. The Russian defensive build-up on the Kherson front line and the Ukrainian defensive build-up in the Wuhldar region can be seen as equivalent. Both of these defense build-ups are exhausting their armies. Although the Russian army has been trying for a long time to dislodge the Ukrainian army from the positions around Wuhldar, it has not yet achieved any results. Let's talk about the artillery activity in the region. According to the latest reports, Russian artillery showed Ukrainian positions in Blagdatnoe, Zolotoy Niva, and Perchistovka, Bergovyalenka, and Vodoyanoe. In turn, Ukrainian artillery units targeted positions of the Russian armed forces in Zavidny Bozhania, Severolinka, and Novodonetsk. We continue with the Donetsk front line. According to the latest reports, on the Donetsk front, the Russian armed forces continued their offensive attacks in Marinka, near Pervomayovsky, and Severnoe. However, there are no results from these attacks. Ukrainian defense forces are holding their positions. We are already frequently noting this area. Only traditionalized attacks of Russian army, there have been no changes. In terms of artillery activity, Russian forces hit Ukrainian positions in Novomykhailovka, Pobeda, Gorokholivka, the town of Krasnogorovka, Avdiivka, Sonekoi, Lastochdin, Orlovka, Stromelinka, and Kermivka, Novoalexandrovka, and Koloniv. In turn, Ukrainian artillery units targeted positions of the Russian armed forces in the village of Stromolohivka, Donetsk, Voyodny, Opidny, and Krasnogorovka. What do you think? Do you think the Ukrainian army will be able to advance on the Kherson front line? Do you think the Ukrainian army is sufficiently supported? If you were a Ukrainian commander, which front you would be focused on? What do you think about the movement that started in the Wuhldar region? Let me know in the comments. I read and care about your comments.